Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Really excited about this one. We're doing an install and review of these Resonix sound deadening products. Just to give you some backstory as to how we got here. Sound deadening in vehicles is something I've done with virtually every vehicle I've owned, and I just love that idea of eliminating road noise and improving the sound quality of whatever system you have in there. I've come across a lot of people that are like, what? Why would you even think of that or care about it? But I don't know. I'm just one of those people. I know there's plenty of other people out there. So this is the thing. And as I started doing some research on what I wanted to put in the truck, all the usual products that I've used in the past comes up. You have the Killmat stuff, Silas, Amazon Basics, and then you have like Dynamat and Hush Mat or whatever it's called. There's a good handful of products that are widely used and widely reviewed, and that's just kind of the go-to stuff, which I almost pulled the trigger until I got to a forum where someone talked about Resonix. So I'm like, never heard of it. What is it? I go to the website. I mean, it's truly unique in this whole sound deadening world because it's an owner-operator, and basically he's claiming that this stuff is the best, and it's the best by far. That said, it's super expensive, but I was just so intrigued. I was like, man, if this stuff is the best, I gotta find out. And if it's not, you're gonna get to hear about that today. That said, this video is not sponsored, but the owner agreed to provide an affiliate link to allow you to get a discount on these products. He comes out with discounts a few times a year, it seems. You'll have a link down below if you want to save some money and buy some of this for yourself. Before we get into anything else, I just want to unbox all this and see what we're looking at. Then I'll talk about all kinds of other stuff, including how I figured out that this is what I need for the truck. So let's unbox right now. I thought we'd take a real quick look at some of the products just so you can get a feel for what they look like. This is the decoupling strip, but essentially it's a tape. It's a really thin, squishy thing with a sticky back. So this is what you're going to use in between like pieces of plastic and where they mount up to, and in general, places where you want to keep two pieces of material from vibrating against each other. So there's quite a bit of it. You don't need a whole lot, so this is going to go a long way. This is the butyl rope. This is going to be something that you stuff into little cracks just to make sure that you stop things from resonating because of like two layers overlapping each other. Similar to decoupling, but this is just something you kind of stuff into certain areas. These are the Mega CLD squares. Very durable. You can see there's not much movement to it. The paper peels off the back. It's pretty thick. Very effective. This is fiber mat, and it's the 1-inch thick stuff. And it's kind of I don't know what you'd call this, but it's smooth on the one side. On this other side, you kind of got to be careful pulling this stuff off, but like the paper rips pretty easy, but it's pretty straightforward as far as just peeling that off. This is the same stuff, but it's 1/2 inch thick. So much easier to fit in between panels, roof liners, the floor and the carpet thing, whatever. So it's a little easier to apply. This has to be the most unique thing I've ever come across. This is the barrier, and I got the 7mm thick stuff. I'd say this is going to be pretty challenging to find areas where you can fit it and make it work because it's really heavy. This is not even a full sheet, and gosh, what is this, 15 pounds or something? It's a sheet of what I believe is lead, and then sort of this decoupling stuff on either side. But very moldable. Whatever shape you put it in, it's going to stay. And you have to come up with your own way to attach it. So,
What did you say?
as a bonus, a couple tools that we think are going to help you out big time when it comes to installing this stuff. One of these things, don't know what it's called, but if you want to take the mega CLD squares and cut them in half or quarters or whatever, this thing makes quick work of it. Anything that you're cutting out weird shapes, these cutting shears work pretty well. And then for the fiber mat, just a really high quality set of like cooking shears or those big teacher type scissors that weigh like 20 pounds. That'd probably do pretty good too. But got to have the right tools for this kind of job. Otherwise you'll just be fighting yourself for way too long. From what's sitting here, I've sectioned off over here what you would get if you were to order the Stage 3 2-door kit from the website. I think it's 685 bucks. It's a kit they put together to just do, for example, your regular cab pickup truck, and comes with everything you would need to just treat the doors alone. It's 1 inch of fiber mat, a couple of CCF strips to put around your speakers, some decoupling strips, some butyl rope, a bunch of these mega CLD squares, and then I can't remember what that's called, but this is everything you'll need to just do the doors, which is one of the biggest areas that allows road noise to come in, and apparently one of the best areas to treat if you want to just improve your sound, because most of us are running off speakers that are in the doors. The areas I've chosen to treat are the roof, the floor and behind the seats, the doors, the hood, and the wheel wells. I'm basically doing like a full send. I'm gonna get as crazy as I possibly can. There are other products that I chose not to purchase because if you read on the website, like a lot of it just doesn't, it's not applicable to certain vehicles because you just have to have a lot of room, and so there's just limitations when you try to get to like a level 5 soundproofing job. But this is going to be basically like a level 3-ish all over the truck. As far as the process of doing the shopping and figuring out what I want or need for my specific vehicle, I definitely spent 5 or 6 like 1-hour sessions where I just was on the website. I was reading through just a plethora of information, the science that goes into this stuff, the techniques for what to put where and how, and like I started to feel really dumb, I'll be honest. The more I read, the more I was like, I don't know anything about this stuff or how to wrap my head around all the different products and like what you put where and all that stuff.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
And after like hours and hours and hours of just trying to study and figure it out, I finally like got out a spreadsheet and was like, okay, here's all the products and here's the areas that they could go in. And that took like several laps through the buyer's guide on the website. So I'm probably just dumb, guys, but it was not the easiest process to figure out what I needed, and you really got to take that into account. I think there's 5, 6, maybe more different types of products, and you don't want to waste your money getting something that doesn't really apply or that you're going to put on the wrong way. So you're just gonna have to dive in. And basically, once I kind of wrapped my head around it, I came out and I measured the square footage of each of the areas I wanted to treat and went back and went, okay, for this area, these are the types of materials and how you would put them in for the level of treatment that's like best bang for your buck. And I just started adding up square footage. So what you see here is just that process and the little bit of math I did to come up with this. And I could use all of it and not have enough, or I might not use all of it and maybe I overshot with estimates. Time will tell. But that's just kind of my process for having got to this point. And The cool thing is that the owner, his name is Nick, he offers to take your phone call or emails or whatever you need to figure out what you need for your application. And so you at least have that resource if you want to go that route. For now, we can get a couple things out of the way. One is a quick test of just how loud the truck is now. I bought a decibel meter and I've been driving around with that, just kind of holding it and looking at it. And I've decided to use an app on my phone instead, because with the decibel meter, the thing just bouncing around and you kind of just have to make a judgment call of like, what do I think the average is here? What number am I gonna go with? And it's really subjective. So I'd rather just have the app record and it'll be a consistent baseline. It also records the average and your highs and lows, and it'll just be a better tool for kind of telling if there's an improvement or not. Here's what I need to add though. The decibel meter on my phone is only going to give us a one-dimensional view of the sound. Basically, it's going to give us the overall volume of whatever the peak frequency is. Also, it probably has some built-in compressors that are de-emphasizing the very high and the very low frequencies that are coming in. This is important to know because it's not how our ears hear. Our ears can hear many different frequencies at many different levels. Here's how that might apply to this situation. If the road noise is coming in at 75 decibels and the supercharger under the hood is coming in at 70 decibels, the volume of the supercharger can go from 70 to 65 and the decibel meter is never going to know. But my ears will, because I can pick up on those changes with how humans hear. The other thing to keep in mind about whatever results we may see is that the decibel scale is logarithmic as opposed to linear. And for every 10 decibels of change, it's a halving or a doubling of perceived volume. So if we can get from 70 down to 60, that's half the volume that I'll be hearing. And if it were to go from 70 to 80, that's twice as loud. Also, for every 3 decibels of change, it's a doubling or halving of sound energy. How's that apply? If we can lower the sound energy by 3 decibels, it's a little less volume, but it's a lot more comfort that you're going to feel within the vehicle because your brain is literally not having to work as hard to tune out that background noise. And it's also going to mean much better sound quality because you don't have a bunch of road noise coming into the cab that's competing with your music or your Bluetooth phone call or whatever. So in summary, we're going to get a limited view, but my ears are going to be able to pick up on all these nuanced changes that really do make a difference, and I'll be sure to report on those. So for the sake of consistency, I'm going to hit record on the decibel meter once I'm on the highway doing 70. And then I'm going to go from our exit down to the second exit. And then as I'm getting off, I'm going to stop the recording. So it'll be just a couple of miles of 70 miles an hour on the highway. Okay, there's our recording. Average 71, max was 75, and that was like a minute and a half of a test. If I haven't mentioned this already, the website is chocked absolutely full of information that is really useful for the buyer. But the way he's got it broken down is by each section of the vehicle, and then he'll give you a rating of like how effective it is for either sound absorption or improving the quality of your sound system, which is pretty cool. And with basically engine noise, you have the hood and then you have the firewall on the engine side and the cab side. So there's those 3 different areas that you can treat. And then there's different materials you can put in each section and the effectiveness of each one. And it's just kind of like information overload, but if you want it, it's there. So it's a pretty cool resource in that way. And what he says, so we're just doing the hood because I don't even want to try to get back to the firewall. It's just, I don't want to go that far for me, either side of the firewall for that matter. But with the hood, he says that with like classic vehicles, let's say a 72 Chevy pickup, I've had a number of those in my day. The hood is just a piece of sheet metal. It's flat. There's a couple of things to give it some rigidity, but otherwise it's just a big hunk of flat metal. He says you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck if that's what your hood is like. But if you have a modern vehicle that is better set up to not be so loud and maybe even already has a sound insulation type thing on it, then you're not going to get as good a result. So what we have here is, it's a decently designed hood. It's kind of deadened already because there's a couple layers of metal, but you can see they've put in some kind of material to keep it from resonating too much. Either way, we're going to go in with 100% coverage of the Mega CLD squares, and then we're going to go over top of that with the Fiber Matte Silver Edition, which is designed for your engine bay, or your hood rather. And that, I think, puts it at like a stage 2 or a 3 out of, really 3 is all you can get on the hood. So that's kind of our approach. And just know that for each section of the vehicle that we're going to be treating, there's that full breakdown of everything you would need to know about materials and how effective the treatment's going to be. With that, we're going to pull the hood off and put it on the table and get started. All right, well, we did the hood, and according to the decimal meter, 0 change. I didn't really expect much because there's still so much noise getting into the cab, but subjectively, I would say that it did seem like the volume of the supercharger was slightly less, and I could hear my exhaust a little more. So we're moving on to the doors now. And this will be a good chance to see if you were to just treat the doors alone, if you're going to get much change in your decibel levels. So we're going to pull the door panel off and see what we're looking at. The good news about the doors is that Nick from Resonix created 3 videos to show you how to do the doors. It's a really detailed and in-depth series of videos that's going to help you. So I'm not really going to talk about it here. You can go watch those, and you'll get a lot of the science and how to apply and all that stuff. And then you can use that knowledge to do the rest of the vehicle. So go look at those, and we're gonna see what kind of results we get from just doing the doors. Okay, well, the doors are done. We did our official test. Happy to say we lost 2 decibels. We went from an average of 71 to 69. Subjectively, it felt like a good amount of difference. It was definitely quieter. It felt a lot better. I would say we're not there yet though. So that said, you can argue that it really needs to be the complete package to really deliver. So we're gonna continue with that process now. I thought about doing the wheel wells next, but I may be a little short on material, so I'm gonna prioritize the cab And then I thought, well, maybe I should do the roof separate and then the floor in the back of the cab, but I just want to get this project done. So we're going to do the entire cab, the floor, back of the cab, roof, and we're going to see what that gets us. But first we've got to get the interior out, which I've never done, couldn't find any videos on it. So we're just going to see how this goes. All right, got the cab done, the results are in, and we lost an additional 7 decibels. That brings us to a total of 9, and I touched base with Nick at Resonix about these results, and these are insane results. He let me know that it's pretty tough to get this much of a reduction, so I couldn't be more happy with not only the drop in decibel level, but how it feels inside the cab now. It is kind of oddly quiet in a good way. There are no harsh sounds. A lot of the road noise that I heard to and from work, some really high-pitched sounds have been completely eliminated, and it just feels very peaceful and nice. I can hear myself think, and it just is really impressive. Very comfortable interior now. I've done nothing to my sound system, it's all stock, but there's a definite improvement in the quality of the sound. The bass is deeper, it's just all around more clear, seems to drive a little bit harder. I used to have to turn it up to about 12 or 13 to be able to hear the music clearly going down the highway, and now I can leave it at 7 or 8 and it's plenty loud. So pretty cool results there. And then with Bluetooth phone calls, before it was just like I had to turn it up, it was shrill, really high peaks, and now it's as if I was in a quiet room just on the phone with the phone up to my ear. So it feels really good to be on a Bluetooth phone call and be able to hear really well. All right, before I give final thoughts on everything, we're gonna get the wheel wells done. Talking to Nick, with a truck like this, the wheel wells are one of the biggest spots that you need to address if you want to control road noise coming into the cab. The fender wells may not be attached to the cab, but what's happening is the tire slaps the pavement and it creates airborne noise, and it causes some mechanical energy that will just find its way into the cab via everything it's connected to. So we're in the back, we're gonna do 100% coverage of the Mega CLD squares, and then I'm gonna go in with a plastic wheel well liner that I bought from Ford. In the front, it's this sort of composite wheel well liner that's covered in a wool type of material. So we're just gonna do 1-inch fiber mat in the front. So we'll get that done and see what results we get.
We did it. How do you feel?
I feel regretful that I gained 40 pounds and have to work this hard every day of my life. Okay, results from the wheel wells. There was no actual drop in the decibel level, but I definitely could tell that there was less sort of road noise all around. I remember in the back, any sort of rocks or sand that would kick up on the wheel well, I could hear it. That is completely eliminated. I heard it mostly just rolling real slow through the neighborhood. So that's all the way gone. And then in the front, there was definitely a reduction in that sort of, I don't even know what to call the sound, but just road noise from the tire slapping the pavement. That sort of hum was less. And we know from what we mentioned before that our ears can pick up on these changes, but the decibel meter can't always pick that up. To summarize, the hood and the wheel wells didn't drop the decibel levels at all, but there was definite results that my ears could pick up. The doors and the rest of the cab gave us that 9 decimal drop. Did I say decimal? Decibel. But overall, I'm super happy with the results. It's insanely quiet. It feels like a Rolls Royce. Pretty dang cool. I'm gonna drive this thing around for a week and really soak it all in, and then I'll be right back with final thoughts.
1 week later.
Okay, final thoughts and results on this project. Subjectively, I was really impressed with the results. That said, I didn't even get to use all the material. I definitely overshot. You can see here, I only used about 1.5 rolls of the barrier, so I have 5 rolls left, a couple sheets of the fiber mat, and 1 box of the Mega CLD squares. The good news is that they have a return policy. If you've got unused, undamaged stuff that you can send back, they will refund you. At least at the time of shooting this video, that's the case. If I take off the cost of those items, everything that I was able to get into the truck cost about $3,100. That price for a loss of 9 decibels and just an amazing result based on me just sitting in the truck and what my ears hear, not too bad. You get to decide if you think that's worth it, but I'm definitely blown away at how quiet it is. Last but not least, the installation on everything was definitely challenging. It took a little while with each material to understand how to cut it, how to apply it, and there was a learning curve there, but overall it was difficult for us. We're not super experienced with this type of thing. We're kind of jack of all trade type people, but it was like laborsome, and you had to work at it. There's a lot of measuring and sizing and trying to cut weird shapes, and you kind of have to get creative and work at it, and you kind of feel it at the end of the project. So I think it's just the nature of this type of thing. It's nothing against the product, but you have to kind of know that going in, I guess. As a final reminder, there is an affiliate link below if you want to save a little money on this stuff. And we'd love to hear your comments. Shoot over questions. We did our best to shoot this review video and be thorough and helpful, but we know we always leave stuff out. So any questions, just send them our way and we'll help you out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.